seeing Gord being locked in as the very final choice of Evos SG. And perhaps this might just be the key to the 2-0 victory. Or could it be VFM trying to turn this one around, trying to still fight for the tournament lives? Because either one of these teams could qualify and towards the next phase. And it's really sad to see some of all these teams to be bid goodbye to. But end of the day, this is the nature of competition, and only the best will proceed. And who knows, either one of these guys might be able to also fight for the throne if they ever were to step out of the groups.
Yeah, and this group stage is just, this format of this particular group stage is just a brutal one for World Championship, but also it tests your mettle. It tests how good you are, how much you can persevere. In one day, we're losing 2 teams each day. 4 days of group stage, we're losing 2 teams each day. And we'll be bidding goodbye to 2 of them by the end of today as well. This is the second last match and the most important match. And by the end of this, we're already waving goodbye to one of these teams.
That's right. And there are so many teams who flew across the continent, across the globe to fight for the trophy, to be crowned as the first ever M1 champions. And you know, there's been so many seasons of all these MPL, and it does not come as close as this because every team are hungry for that spot. And we're seeing VFM as well as Evos still have that sort of fighting spirit. VFM, of course, didn't have a great game 1, but now we're ready to head into its game 2 between Evos Singapore versus VFM. So it's time for us to see who will emerge victorious in game number 2.
Yep, and if this goes to Evos Singapore, once more VFM unfortunately will have to put a full stop on their journey in M1. It's definitely a sad sight to even imagine, but there's still a glimmer of hope for this team. They have had an amazing run so far. They've shown us that even against the Kings, they were able to draw blood. But Evos SG, it shouldn't be a team that stops them from doing what they do best.
That's definitely something that they really would consider and be confident about, because after all, these guys are champions of their respective region. And VFM here, of course, having lucky without all too much luck in the previous game. We hope that he does have some for this time around. And Ace here is already trying to pull the buff away and challenge them, negating them to actually hit those levels in time. And now we're also seeing Xborg playing a little bit more efficiently to just scout out on where the jungler is at. Now T-Max here over on the lower side is already spotting out the Gord as well as all the other members over the lower side. So it shouldn't be too hard to actually lane over the bottom, but over the top side here, it might just be first blood, but Tiny does have a little bit room to breathe.
And then my attention is now on the Gord, on Oh Dear Bambi. His Chang'e in the previous game was phenomenal, the game-winning meteor shower. And this time on the Gord, the later the game goes, the better it is for Evos Singapore. And the best part is because of VFM's particular lineup, you don't really have that hero to dive onto this Gord. So Oh Dear Bambi is in a pretty comfortable spot to do what he wants to do.
That's right, and we're looking at THNKYOU, who just tangled his way across. And oh, that's pretty much a timed ultimate as well. Bambi just shooting at the camp, but I guess that's what he really wants to get. He wants the goal instead of hitting onto something that's not too secure. And Ace might just be first blood right here. He tries to turn things one around, but it will be the kill headed over to the side of Hyde with Oh Dear Bambi.
Yeah, Oh Dear Bambi, definitely a slight whoopsie in that scenario. Doubt that the kill would have come through, but definitely might have prevented that rotation to the top lane to kill off Ace.
That's right, and we're seeing a rival for a side of Tiny as well. Great movements across the map for VZ Fantasy main. And now a little bit of 1v1 action between Soul versus Broly. Well, of course, he's not exactly the same guy coming from those Dragon Ball Z movies, but well, Soul himself, he's going to be having a pretty much good time in lane.
Yeah, he's a level behind the Esmeralda as well, so not really a smart move to go for that fight. And they might come for the dive though. They get the pushback and so knock into that wall. Broly coming in, but great save from Ace with that glorious pathway, the extra regeneration that they need. THNKYOU does use the Guardian's Barrier, but no follow-up from Evos SG.
We're seeing THNKYOU being really vital in all of these fights. And even Ace right there, he definitely came just in the nick of time to actually do a little bit more for the team. But speaking of the LPL, he's already getting pinned against the wall. Great element from the court, but it will not be able to take down Lucky right there. And Mirror Shower being used from the side of Hyde will not be able to bring down the gourd.
In the meantime, Soul also got took down by Tiny. So 2 kills across the board for VFM. Across the entire map. Definitely, if you are LPL, you kind of overstep in that situation.
Well, it's pretty much a hard decision to actually make, and he just went face checking and he paid the price. Now we're looking at 3-0 in favor of VEC Fantasy Main, and we're slowly seeing all these items coming into fruition, and of course the first tower in the hands of VEC Fantasy Main over the top side.
Definitely a better start for VFM compared to previous game where Evos SG just had them in a chokehold the entire game, but this time VFM, they're going to respond to that, and it seems like an instant jump in with the 1000-pounder. Lucky with the Hurricane that's not able to finish off Ace. He does get the growth path with him, and this means that Evos SG will be able to get out, but Tiny with the ultimate spin strike in, the explosion not enough. The insanity is not that insane after all, but Esmeralda does manage to pick one up, so VFM, they trade one back and they get a turret in return.
This is the VFM that every Vietnamese know how aggressive they could even get, and they're definitely trading back against Evos. Let's have a look into the highlights brought to you by the Mlbb. And of course, Last Insanity forcing all these members from the side of Evos SG back, which is how they managed to eventually claim the turret, and they brought down the Grok as well while they're at it. Now, look at the top side here. Soul trying to take down the tower, but he's being left alone, forced to actually flicker away. But here comes Hyde though, and he's getting all these blocks coming from the side of JLPL. JLPL will take one for the team, but where can this Grok go? As we see Broly right here secures yet another kill for the team.
Yeah, JLPL is just a sacrificial lamb for Evos SG's great wild charge to save Soul. He was about to get taken down by the Esmeralda, but because VFM, such clean maneuver, had an insane goalie, and now Ace might not survive this. Broly comes in with an easy pickup, killing spree for the Esmeralda.
What a dominating performance coming from the side of VFM, and look at that, Evos SG could not even respond, and Ace, you know how tanky Hylos is, and he could not even stand a chance against all these team members, Export, Esmeralda, and we saw the Valor as well. I think one of the keys to this draft is, of course, the Valor pickup here. But I talk about the problem about this draft. The pushing power is not that great over the late game. And what Evos needs to do right now is to stall the match.
Yeah, Soul died for the second time, and it's a killing spree for Hyde. Even though we talk about how Evos SG can easily... VSFM don't have the way to access Dear Bambi on that gourd because of those hero picks, but they don't have to do so if they instantly melt to the front line. Evos actually, maybe it was a mistake to give that X-Block too, because we saw how dominant Tiny was in that previous series against Impunity.
Yes, and we're looking in towards Evos SG here. What they could potentially do is just wait for some certain mistakes coming out from the side of VFM, but they're pretty much behind in terms of level. Look at JLPL, level 7 against level 9. I don't really think that it's really wise for them to actually commit all too much in that sort of sense. And Broly right here, already 3-0. Same goes to Hyde. So some of these members have not even fallen for the entirety of this sort of match, because they've only got one kill thus far in this sort of match in towards Game 2.
Yeah, Evo's actually getting a taste of their own medicine, and it's just VFM now flipping the script. Contrary to Game 1, deja vu, but in reverse, in a reverse manner. Evos actually, like you mentioned, they need to find a way. They need to wait for VFM to make a mistake, but because this is VFM, they're so disciplined, they're choking Evos SG out. The cause, the carry, the Tamus, the Gore, they were not able to get any resources in. Their only means of getting goal right now is the passive goal, and if they get a pick off, but it doesn't seem likely that VFM is going to make that mistake.
I would say it's really unlikely. Shadow Mask has been utilized, and that's going to be a big Hurricane Dance to flush them all out. Killing spree for the X-Borg, and now Last Insanity being popped there by Tiny as well. Not going to connect into any of these members.
Lucky!
Oh, look at that go!
Lucky is just so amazing, and this Broly goes in with a 1 versus 3. Aces though, Broly's gonna start spinning, but he's kind of isolated. He does get the kill onto Ace, somehow still alive, so not able to challenge him as the rest of VFM. They push into the base. Carry also gets taken out, and Broly's just enjoying a little stroll. VFM, they're gonna strike back, so desperately trying to clear out that minion wave, and he will be able to do so. VFM not gonna chase him down with Zhao PL. Now trying to keep the Vietnamese squad at their side of the map, but it might not be
Bambi.
a smart move as the dear Bambi needs some protection, and Zhao PL will be the mid shield, the guardian, the castle for Evos SG, but VFM, they're knocking on the front doors.
And all members are alive from Evos SG. They can buy a little bit more time. Great element from the side of Gord to shut one member off of the side of VFM. Now they're still playing with fire right here. And Tiny, speaking of fire, they're going to spin it right back at them. But Potato wants to trade back. Tries to pop the Firaga armor. Righteous Pathway has been opened up from the side of Evos SG as well. They're just trying to clear as much as they can. All these minions are slowly marching in from the top as well as the bottom. But look at the catch over the side of Tiny. He is playing pretty well, and now that he's got immortality, he can do as he please.
Yep. What's better than 1 life, 2 lives for an X-Borg that is virtually unkillable at this point, and he's just going to continue doing this and allow the rest of his team to get constructed. Last Society right on top of Soul, and there's a mega kill for this X-Borg. They're going to try to kill him on 1 time, and they will, but he does have a second life,
Lucky.
and Lucky's going to jump in, not able to find that Hurricane Dash just yet. VFM is going to be the second attempt on that Crystal as Evos SG desperately try to hold on, but it cannot die out. We use the Glorious Pathway. He does get the regeneration. He somehow survives that, so Evos SG holds on, but Tiny with the last Society not able to get the kill. Carry though, Potato on the killing spree right now. Evos SG is still holding on to that base, and they will survive for a bit longer.
T-Max getting caught out by that server blast coming from the side of Oh Dear Bambi. But look at Broly though, already soloing this Lord, and there's nothing that Evo Singapore can even do to even get anywhere close because they're way too busy defending for their lives. They could not afford to slip up, but VFM is looking way too strong. But look at T-Max getting caught out.
What a flicker from Zhao PL to get that pickoff onto T-Max, so it does give Evos SG a bit more breathing room. Broly, again, trying to go for the inhibitor, not able to find it just yet. Manjun and Wolf in the previous broadcast did call Evo Singapore the Great Wall of Singapore, but VFM, they're slowly chipping away at those bricks.
You can see the meteor shower definitely is chipping those bricks away, like you said, and look at them go. They're just running around inside of the base, but they still have 2 more towers to go. But it's really brittle, as we can see. It's only down to about 20% left, and with the Lord marching in towards the mid lane, it will prove to be a little bit tougher here. Lucky already using the Hurricane Dash, 2 almost being popped here, as we see the meteor shower as well. Now they're trying to chunk out the Lord, and they're already in 4 here, committing to towards this fight. It's the fight for their lives, and all 4 members are still left intact. Only 1 leaving behind, but Tiny here is going to chunk out Soul. Soul still alive after that flicker, but Broly will make sure that they will stay dead. And look at last incident come from Tiny as well. This might just be the game, and it will be VFM fighting all the way back. Oh my goodness me! It will be a maniac for the Esmeralda as we see VFM trying to bring this in towards game 3.
And like I said, VFM, they have woken up from their slumber after Game 1. The Vietnamese flag will fly for a bit longer in M1 World Championship. And what a way to push this game to a deciding 3. I wouldn't have it any other way. We're going the whole distance, but Evos SG, that was a hard blow.
That is definitely one epic game that we're seeing here. And VFM, they are still keeping their fighting spirits up. And I'm pretty sure after this game, this is a huge morale booster. They took 1 point off the side of RQ. Now they're taking another from the side of Evos, which means if they were to ever win Evos Singapore, Evos will be down and out and will be eliminated. But if Evos does the same, it will be VFM bowing out as well. Now let's have a look into the statistics for game number 2.
Yeah, it's definitely Evos now. Might need to reevaluate leaving the Grok open and expecting VFM to go for it, but VFM says we had an amazing performance on X-Borg. We're gonna do it again, and it was evident. No one was able to stop this